Welcome to the Progressing Lives Everywhere podcast, brought to you by the Amoria Bond Group. In each episode, we feature prominent business leaders and industry experts sharing their personal experiences and inspiring anecdotes of what progression means to them and insights into their specialist fields, as well as tools, techniques, and practical steps we can all take to progress lives everywhere.
Welcome to Progressing Lives Everywhere podcast. I'm your host, Andy Barrow, and today I am interviewing someone I'm very lucky to have here because he's a busy man. In fact, he's going to spend about 6 to 8 hours with 40 kids today, enlightening, creating, motivating these guys on a chocolate journey. So today I'm interviewing Oli Dunn, Oli The Choc, Oli from Going In Deep. I've known this guy for 27 years. We've played basketball together. We've gone to school together, been at teenage parties together. We won't talk about those today. This is a guy who is a TV personality, a radio presenter, a content creator, a blogger, now a writer, a dad, a businessman, an entrepreneur, everything he does with great energy and motivation. So I thought this will be a great episode to get some real insight to how he brings that to the table. So welcome, Oli.
Good morning, Andy. Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
It's a real pleasure, mate. Real pleasure. And I see you are ready in Choc Studios as well.
I've had my coffee, I've got my water, and I'm here. I'm in the home of Choc and Roll with the Peace, Love, Choc and Roll mural behind me, surrounded by chocolate and toys and just creativity and just, that's what it's all about with me, keeping stimulated, excited. I'm a big kid, and I think that's why you and I connect so well. We've got that history. I can't believe how long that's been, by the way. That's crazy. But, it's incredible that how far we've come, I think, as well. And the journey, it's all about the journey. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, we appreciate that nostalgia, don't we? Things like, Batman, Lego, and of course, being creative, chocolate, art. Yeah, it all works.
That's definitely been the that reconnection over the years. Like you're saying, that nostalgia, whether it's 80s movies, Batman for sure, definitely, the art, the creativity. And I've said it to you many times that that energy I feel you always bring to the table, and I think you're not even always aware of it, but I think it's that's one of the biggest reasons why we're talking today.
I always say energy is currency, and I say that with conviction now because I used to say that as a theory, but I now feel like I've proved that to be real because I've created opportunities in my life and relationships, personal, business, whatever. But it's that transaction of energy that I didn't realize that I was putting out there, but I did, have a lot of people comment like yourself, and that investment of energy has come full circle. I believe everything does come full circle, and what you put out there comes back, and it's led to business opportunities, and have not had to invest money into these. It's just investment of energy and passion, and that's not forced. It's just that's how I am. Like, I'm an excitable person. I only do things that I'm excited to do, and I think I've probably made that my life ethos from working in the family business. Seeing my mum and dad making chocolates from home and doing something that they love, then going on to realize that I could do that as well, but I could also then take that into a slightly different direction, which is the chocolate making parties that I do for children, for adults, for corporate events, which I'm sure I'll talk more about. But it's also doing stuff outside of that, because I like to believe that I'm not just a chocolatier. I'm passionate about being a chocolatier, but I'm also very passionate about being me. And that means, doing things that I love.
You are that modern day multi-hyphenate, right? You've got about 5 or 6 strings to your bow for sure, and I think it shows adaptability, it shows creativity, entrepreneurial spirit. As I said, that's why you're here, right?
I've overcome a few fears. I do, like I'm sure we all do, suffer with self-doubt and have moments where I think, am I any good? Is anyone interested in what I'm doing here? But it's like I've overcome a few of those little demons, and I think you sort of think, I can't do that. Like, I'm not an A-star English student, so I can't be a writer, or I'm not athletic, so I can't. It's like don't judge yourself. Just follow the inspiration. So for me, the whole chocolate world is all very visual. So I like the idea of going into podcasting because it's just audio, and it's like, can I create some theatre of the mind with the audio, sort of storytelling, explaining, articulating things that are going on, feelings, theories, and I feel like that's been such an exciting journey over the last couple of years, kind of going into that realm. And I love that.
I love the voice note episode.
Yeah, that's a powerful one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think voice notes, I used to joke around sending voice notes to people, say, welcome to the Oli The Choc podcast. This is your daily update. And I'd be like, literally just sending them a voice note. How are you doing? What are you up to? This is what I'm up to. And I was like, actually, I'm quite enjoying this, because as a kid, I always wanted to be a radio presenter. And I think you get these influences and people that say things like, okay, but why don't you think about something a little bit more realistic and do something but I just want to be a radio presenter. I just want to be on TV and have fun and do all these things and just kind of like be me. So it took me a while to overcome that, but interesting how I've gone down the route of chocolate, but then there's still that thing in the back of my mind going, you can't be a radio presenter. There's going to be a route there somehow. So for me, kind of going from like WhatsApp voice note to like, no, I'm going to set up a podcast and really exploring that. And, this is part of that journey. It's always just the beginning. Like every day is just the beginning. And a good friend of mine, Nick Bianchi, says a lot, no rules. Like he's family furniture business, set up his own gin declaration, and he's gone into a football agency, and he says no rules. Like just that's been a powerful one for me. I'm like, yeah, let's try it. Like, if I want to design clothes, t-shirts, go into fashion, you don't have to just stick to chocolate. So
that I would like to see. To be fair, I would like to see. Yeah, I could imagine there'd be some cool stuff coming there.
And this is why I always say, like, surround yourself with positive people, and you're in my circle of communication. And I think that's the beautiful thing these days. We've got voice notes. We can express our feelings more on voice note than we can on text message, and then you've got that back and forth energy, and that is so important for me, because it gets me in my flow, into the momentum. And even this now is really kickstarting the energy for my day. But yeah, just surround yourself with people who believe in yourself more than you believe in yourself. And I think we all have those self-doubts, and we can often be a bit too critical and think, oh, maybe I'm not good enough to do that, or maybe I should just stick to what I know. Or but then when, like what you've just said, that I'd love to see that, so what am I waiting for?
Gets you ticking.
Yeah, exactly. It does.
Well, I think that you to pick a phrase you said there. You said in the middle about the podcast being more audio focused.
Yes.
And then you said, well, of course it's audio focused. That's exactly what it is. But you said about the storytelling part. That's the thread, right? Whether it's radio, writing, whatever it is, there's storytelling.
Yeah, it is
in every part. And even if it was clothes or if it was any business venture, I get the impression that Oli's service to the customer is about how do I tell them a story, or how does the customer tell a story through what they've bought or experienced. It's cool. It's cool.
I probably never thought of myself as, it goes back to that self-doubt. It goes back to that inner child, which is like from school, was I any good at telling stories? Was I good at writing stories? But then as you get older, my framing of it was the creative process. Like the creative process is like, I'm obsessed with like taking a Funko Pop, like turning that into a mold, and then making a chocolate one, and that's the creative process. It's like the artwork behind me was then turned into a bandana, which then we get framed, and that goes on the wall. That becomes art again, and then you make a chocolate version of the bandana. And I'm like, but that is actually, as well as being a process, there's a story there, isn't there? Because there's me working with the artist. It's like I've worked with you, Andy, on little creative projects that just make us tick, like you said before. Makes you tick, lights you fire, lights you up. But ultimately, now that I've stripped it all back and I've gone, yes, Oli The Choc, I love that. I like being him. I'm going to enjoy showing all these kids how to work with chocolate, and like you said, not just work with chocolate, but give them confidence, light them up, put a smile on their face, which will do the same in turn for me. But there's also just Oli, and I guess like Oli is the guy that just tells the story. So I'm not afraid of going on social media and talking about anything now. Like it might just be.
That was something I wanted to ask. Yeah. You you put content out there, video, whatever it
Yeah.
may be, daily.
Yeah.
And you talked about fear as well. So I guess
Yeah.
for anyone out there who's thinking about coming into that video world, if you think about the last 2 years, everyone's been on a small box anyway, in many
Yeah.
instances, Zoom and whatnot. How do you overcome that fear on the video side of things, or the content side of things? How have you managed that? But I guess wider, how do you tackle that fear anyway? What are some of your
It's a
tips
good
around that?
question. Yeah, it's a really good question. And I think previously I do distinctly remember the first time kind of going on camera and just being terrified and stumbling and stuttering. And I think the worst thing for me in that case was being given a script. And actually, that's not really me. Like, I'm okay with that now. I've practiced a little bit more in that, but I'll probably still have my own twist on it. Like, it has to flow. Like, I understand more the importance of the words just have to flow. They have to come from inside, and they have to be real to me. I have to be excited about it, like I said at the start. So the video stuff, I just overcame it by repetition. And I think repetition is such a big one. It's like going to the gym, isn't it? Like you're not going to get results unless you do the push-ups, the weights. You're not going to get fit by just sat doing nothing. So it's the repetition of doing the videos. It's the same with the audio. It's the same by me constantly doing the voice notes, the podcasting, and just like building that confidence. It sounds obvious, but I think a lot of people say, "Oh no, it's not for me." But I think as soon as you break through that fear, the camera melts away. Like the more you do it, the camera just melts away. And I probably am quite happy now just to open up and to create a video and just post it. And I'm also happy to embrace my mistakes as well. I'm not. If I've stumbled or said something that's not perfect, like that's okay. I'm still happy to kind of post it. And that's why I like live. I would encourage anyone. I gave this advice to Ben when he was getting himself going on Instagram. I said, just go live. That's like, for me, that's a bungee jump. Just get out there into the abyss.
You've done that as well.
You probably have done that as well. It's the same feeling. It's like that. You're just going to free fall, and you're going to love the free fall, and just learn from it. Make mistakes. I think you can't learn unless you start doing something and making mistakes.
Yeah, and have you always been that way? Or has that taken time to develop?
It's definitely developed. And that's probably the one thing that I love about aging. Like I'm 38. I was my birthday a couple of days ago, and it's you think I'm getting close to 40. I'm like, no, that's cool. That's great. It's the journey. Would I want to go back to being 21? Oh, great fun, obviously, and time is a precious thing. It'd be great to have that extra time, but I don't want to go back and be him. I don't want to go and be a previous me. I'm excited about being the me now and the future me, like that constant development of Oli and the evolution and the learning. And so no, I've not always had the confidence. I was shy as a kid, and I don't know whether you remember that from school, Andy.
You didn't know, not so much, to be fair. Obviously that journey from where maybe you were, 11, 12 through 18 to now, it can be exponential, right?
That's a big journey. I think you start school and you sort of like, you find your tribe, and you find that develops later in life as well. But you want to be popular, you want to be liked, and that's never left me. Like I still want to be popular, I still want to be liked. Of course, I want people to like me, I want to connect with people. People are like your link to your opportunities, and that's the exciting thing for me about life. I believe that you can create your own life through your actions, through doing things well and doing things nicely. Like you're not going out there to hurt anybody or cutthroat. It's like I'm just loving the fact that I get to meet people, hopefully put a smile on the face, hopefully make an impression, hopefully be memorable to that person, and then they can open doors for you. And that's the great thing. Like I said, creating your own life. You don't know who you're going to meet next, what opportunities can be created, and that's the exciting part.
I that's the impression I get as well. Is tell me if I'm out of line or wrong, but the like part hopefully comes just through natural relationships. But I get the impression it's more about interaction, relationship, connection, and then obviously whatever opportunity comes from that as well. But is that a tip? Is that a tip you would give to people? Always look to build relationships. Look for the relationship and look for the opportunity.
I think so. I don't think you can ever have too many relationships or too many friendships. And, I'd never sort of close the door and go, right, that's it. I've met enough people. Now I'm done. I
Some
think
people
be
are like that
excited.
though, right? Some
Yeah,
people
I
are like
guess so.
very like,
Yeah,
this is me and this is what I'm doing, and I'm too focused to think about that person or that thing,
that's true.
and they're
That's
not
true.
open to it. So it's interesting.
It is, and I think I heard this quote or this fact that the secret to longer life is relationships. Like the people who live longer are the people who have more, connections and like relationships, but proper
Yeah.
relationships with people. And that's what I like to have. I like to, everyone's got a story, everyone's got something to offer, and I learn from people probably more than I do from books or from podcasts or it's like this now. It's that interaction, it's that feedback loop, and everyone's got a story, everyone's got something to tell. And I feel like I've become a little bit of every single person that I've met in my life. Like if there's something about somebody, a little trait, I'm taking it. I'm like, I'm not stealing it. I'm inspired by that person. Like, that's a big thing for me. And I don't believe that ever stops. We continue to grow through our connections and through learning from other people.
I think you that taking the best bits of other people and trying to apply it and surrounding yourself, as you said, with the right people, or you are the sum total. What did he say? Sum total of the 5 or 8 people you spend most of your time with. I think all that
makes sense. And
if
someone says something to me or does something for me that really gets me kind of emotionally in a happy way, that I think, wow, that's powerful. Like, I'm gonna inflict that on other people. I'm gonna use that approach and that thoughtfulness or whatever it might be. So
I think it's a good tip, that as well. Yeah, to
yeah.
almost not as a teacher, but everyone, whatever you've learned or got, pass it on. Not in a let me tell you this, but just share.
Yeah, exactly. Share, be open, and if something resonates with you, then I just think clock it and realize that you can then share that, whatever that is. And it's a beautiful thing. I think for me, it's about happiness and making people happy. And I think especially now, like we talked about the energy thing, if I've got an ability to affect somebody positively, whether that's through direct communication or sort of indirect, whereby they're consuming some of my content on social media, whether it's something that I'm doing that's serious or just something that's silly and a bit of fun, and then fantastic. Like if that can affect somebody in a positive way, then that's like my purpose. That's my purpose in life.
So, that's probably one of the questions I'm going to ask you today, was that seems to be a really important thread of whether it's personal, whether it's an event, whether it's business, every endeavor you're going through, that thread seems to be, I want to leave an impression on the person, the customer, the friend, whoever it is. Why is that important to you? It sounds silly because it sounds obvious as well as you say it out loud.
No, it's a good question.
Some people are more like, well, I want what I want, and I'm going to go for it. Or a business might think, well, this is what we're doing, but you're very conscious of you and the other person or the consumer as well. You seem to be aware of the everyone involved in whatever that is.
Yeah, I want to do good by other people. I feel like it's my mission and my purpose to serve, I suppose, and that gives me great joy to be able to do that. I'd like to get to the end of this lifetime and sort of look back and go, I've done some great things, and I've put a lot of good stuff out there, and I'd like to feel fulfilled, like I've squeezed as much joy out of this life as I possibly could, and mission complete. That makes me feel good. So it probably is that bigger picture, that legacy, that lasting impression on other people. So maybe like when I'm gone, I'm not gone completely. Like I'm here in some sort of like spirit, by the fact that people still talk about me, the next generation, Romy, my little one, how she then goes on to live her life, and it's that knock-on effect, really.
It's like paying it forward. I think the All Blacks say, leave the jersey in a better place, and they're kind of giving there's not a big population in New Zealand, right? But they've got the best rugby team in the world for 100 years or something. You get that shirt. You've only got that shirt for a period of time. make sure it's in a good place when the next guy gets it or the next girl gets it. So I think it's
Love
a nice
Love
thought.
That is lovely.
So you're a busy man, very busy man. You always seem to be doing something. So how does a morning start for Ollie? What's your routine that sets you up for a successful day, to have that best day, that squeezing the most out of a day?
Yeah,
Do you have a routine?
I try to, if I'm really honest. Like some days, because my work routine is quite sporadic. Like one day I might go to a school, one day I might have like a corporate event down in London or whatever. So not every day is the same, and I guess that's why I like it, because it's full of surprises. And but if I was to choose, and if I had like a sort of opportunity within the week, then my routine sort of go-to would be 20-minute workout from home, just work out in the lounge, because I've got a little one there, so I'm like trying to balance that. So I might get up with her, breakfast, workout. If I get a chance, then I might go for a little 3 or 5K run, just small. I like to keep it quite consistent with the exercise. I'm not, I've gone down routes before. I've burnt myself out. I've gone, right, I want to get to like 10 miles and kind of get to the point where then my legs start hurting. Then I don't run for a couple of weeks. And I'd rather just be a bit more, consistent and shorter bursts, like more high intensity, and then short runs. And I guess I'm conscious of my mood. I do certainly have little go-tos if I feel like my mood's slipping, or I feel like I'm a lack of inspiration, because I feel like
one of the big things I wanted to know today.
Yeah. It's like there's definitely a bigger, higher vibrational version of Ollie that I'm always trying to tap into. Like I feel like it's my inner being, and trying to be in that vibration. So there are certain things like the workout, definitely that sets me up for the day.
Those endorphins.
Indeed, getting the endorphins going. Thinking, writing recently has been a thing. I'm not really journaling, although I probably should be. I was thinking that this morning. But looking back through previous things that I've done that have brought me satisfaction, that I can draw some inspiration from, or I can go, oh, actually, that was really cool. So maybe I could do something again like that, but this way, and add like a development, like an advancement of that thing. So interestingly, I'm really curious. Curious. I don't know where that word came from. I'll come back to that in a minute. I'm conscious about sort of like what I consume, and I try and Gary Vee says this: create more than you consume, and that's, for me, it's about that creation, that creative process, creativity. So drawing, I'm conscious where I'm scrolling. Hopefully I'm in the right place where I'm saving posts and I'm screenshotting stuff, and I'm going, oh yeah, I could take inspiration from that, or I could try that sort of format or that style. But curiosity was my New Year's resolution, was to be more curious. And someone said to me, how do you measure that? And it's asking questions. Like, questions are more interesting than answers. Like, you don't know what the answer's gonna be, or where that conversation's gonna lead to. It's like you, the podcast, Andy. You're asking questions. They're so exciting to the deliciousness that might come back the other way. So be more curious. That's been a big one for me this year.
You've touched on a number of different things there that they kind of
yeah.
overlap, you know, the fear element and just giving it a try, the free fall, and the willingness to make a mistake, being curious, creation versus consumption, or create more than you consume, as you put it. Gary Vee, obviously a massive creator, but also massively successful in almost every endeavor he does as well, you know. So it almost like you said about the service thing, you're being open and you're giving, but because you're giving, it creates opportunities, and then you're getting stuff that then you get the chance to be creative again, and there's a cycle. But it's all seems to overlap in that sort of you seem massively adaptable and massively open-minded. Have you always been that way? Because I'm trying to think if you were on. I don't know or not. I don't have the answer, to be honest.
Somebody said to me once, the world needs you open, Ollie. Like, I think he saw this thing within me, and it was like an epiphany for me. And said this to me. It's like, the world needs you open. It's like you've got such potential to unleash, but just unleash it. Like, don't, what, you know, 'cause I think we have this tendency of putting barriers up in front of ourselves. Like, I'm not good enough. I've not got enough time, or what will that person think? I'm not worried about judgment anymore. Like, I don't judge myself as long as it feels right to me, as long as I feel excited and it's morally right and it's something that I enjoy and it feels like it's part of me, then kind of I'm in. So I'd say that, you know, I've not always been like that, but I've overcome these barriers, and now I just feel, just excited about developing kind of everything that I've got going on, really.
Nice. And I know that you touched a little bit about the some of the habits around motivation or energy. You said workouts as one.
Yeah.
What other sorts of tips or habits do you have to when you're starting to dip, or that energy or that motivation is less so
I
there?
think honestly, the voice notes, like, honestly, I think they are they can be underrated, and maybe that's just for me. Like, maybe we're all wired slightly differently, but, you know,
Giving them, you mean sending them?
Sending them, because it's,
I
you
find
know,
the same massively.
do you? It's like therapy. It's like, you know, because I do this the Going In Deep podcast. I bounce with Ben and Liam on voice notes, and sometimes we'll say, look, you don't need to reply to this. This is just me speaking into a microphone. Just, it's almost like an audio journal where I'm getting thoughts and feelings and ideas kind of out of my mind, out of my body. I think that's the key. Sometimes you've got to get these things out, and the reason for that, I think, is you need to articulate what it is you're feeling and thinking at that time in order to understand it better. So when you start to somehow put it into plain English so that somebody else can hear it and get it, that's when you go, oh, actually, I get that now. And then you almost like find your own solution. I think sometimes you need to ask yourself for advice. And the voice note, interestingly, is linked with something else that I said, which is talk to yourself. Like, I talk to myself. And even when I'm voice noting, really, who am I talking to? I'm not really talking to anybody. Somebody might not even listen to that voice note. Technically, I'm talking to myself, but I'm getting things out of my mind, out into word, and therefore then starting to understand it better, breaking it down, and then probably finding my own solution to that. And I think the best person to advise yourself is yourself, because then you actually leading from your inner being, your gut feeling, because they say, you only listen to the advice you want to hear. So therefore, why not just ask yourself for advice and work it out that way? So voice notes is a powerful thing. And for me, it's about being in my flow, being in that creative process and being inspired and excited and looking around for ideas and turning the idea into action and then seeing it kind of manifest into something real. That's where the fun bit is for me, but I've got to be in that flow in order for that to happen. And the voice notes get me in my flow. So sometimes I will message like Ben or Liam and be like, look, I'm just getting into my flow and I'm just going to share this with you. And that often, like you said, Andy, you feel so much different when you've sent that voice note.
Yeah. You do,
and especially when you get, that feedback from the other person and they say, oh yeah, I get that. I feel like that sometimes. So yeah.
There's a book called The Chimp Paradox.
Yes.
You've probably heard of it, and obviously they work with the guy who worked with Liverpool Football Club, the England rugby team, all that kind of stuff. And one of the things they talk about in there is if a situation's occurred, one of the tactics, if you've got a certain combustible nature or whatever, is exercise your chimp. Basically, talk to someone. Have somebody who can be your spar partner, or I guess even more simple, you don't always need to talk to someone. You could talk to a voice note. You could create an audio note for yourself and then revisit it. There was a tip.
It's only like journaling, isn't it? But you get taught that like talking to yourself is for crazy people. But I think we'd be crazy not to talk to ourselves.
There's a podcast I listen to, and the guy on it talks about if he's ever feeling a certain way, like angry or anxious or upset about something, he says, what I do first is I'll either email myself the email I would send to the person, and I'll say, open this in 24 hours, or I'll voice note myself and talk to myself about it, and again, come back to it tomorrow.
Yes.
And then when you hear it, you're like, I've figured this out now. I figured it out.
I get that. I'm a believer in sort of sleeping on things and not going with the sort of knee-jerk reaction, and especially with things like emails, they can come across in a different way than you intended. So I'm a believer in just taking a breathe. Yeah, exactly. Take a step back, take a breath. I talk about positivity and being happy, and I do have down days. Like, I don't want anyone to think, God, Ollie's like superhuman. And it's we're all in this. Like, we all suffer with these things in this modern world, and we've all been through lockdown and difficult challenges. And I think it's about being adaptable. But
you do strike me as highly adaptable. If you think about your business, one of your business at that time at the start of lockdown, it's an in-person physical business.
Yes, and I was lucky that I'd had the experience in front of camera, so I was able to go ahead and just go live and just be like, right, okay, so we're in lockdown. I've developed these kits. If you want to buy one, go to my website. I send you the kit. Then we're going to be here this time next week, and we're going to go live, and I'm going to show you how to make truffles, chocolate bars, lollies, whatever it is. And that went from being for the kids to we did a Guinness World Record for over 500 people around the world making chocolate in an online space. And then we did the corporate events, and I was here at Choc and Roll Studios at like 2:00 in the morning doing live Zooms, showing people around America how to make things out of chocolates. So adaptability is important.
Definitely. Well, effort and hard work definitely in there as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think so. And I think when you're doing something that you love, it doesn't feel like that. I was super excited to be here at that time of night. Like, can't believe that people are going to be joining me from around the US. And there's certainly dedication, effort, hard work. But I think when you're passionate about something, all of those things just kind of dissolve, really.
Yeah, massively.
Yeah.
I think I've heard a few times, I was reminded recently, not everyone always gets to do something they're passionate about or a lot of it. And rather than sort of complain about it or whatnot, I guess people have got two options, or what this tip was saying was either find what you're passionate about and go for it, or if you're not able to for some reason, whatever you do, find what you're passionate about within it, and then you'll still feel the same. There's always going to be a nugget, right?
Exactly. Hidden treasure. Everyone can find that, and whatever it is, and then if you can spend any amount of time on that, and you never know where that could lead. That could become a niche business. So something for everyone there. Yeah.
To wrap up, because I think we could talk for hours, to be fair, and
yes.
I know. What tips or takeaways or hacks would you give to the listener or the audience? You go, look, this will set you up for, I think, as you quoted, squeezing the most out of your day or your week. What knowledge would you give?
I just think, like, be more open, be more curious, be more interested. I think interested people are interesting. You've got to be interested in other people in order to learn from them and to ask them questions, and to not be afraid to ask certain questions as well. Like, goes back to school. You're afraid of putting your hand up and asking a question that you might look silly. I'm not worried about that now. I'm like, so what is that? What does that mean? I'm not familiar with that. We can't be familiar with everything. We have different worlds and different industries and society, communities, culture. It's like,
ego stops us, right? Ego stops us from asking.
Exactly.
I don't want to ask that.
Exactly. Don't judge other people. Don't judge yourself. Just I think, I value the people that you've got around you. Everybody's got something to offer, some perspective, angle, somewhere they can help you. And that's my biggest driver is people and asking questions.
Nice. Thanks for today. Much appreciated, Ollie. It's been amazing.
Oh, I loved it. It's been amazing. It set me up for the day. I'm ready to go make chocolate and, get in my creative flow.
Cheers, mate.
It's been great. Thank you so much for having me. Cheers, Andy.
Bye.